I would like to present about AI usage in general from the customer aspect. And after that, I would like to talk about the classical AI chatbot and how I transferred this AI chatbot into the intelligent AI assistant. First, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Adam. I'm Adobe certified expert, and I'm working for Phoenix Media as an Adobe Commerce Magento developer. I'm also teaching people on YouTube and Udemy, and also I'm Huba technical partner in the educational area because I provided two Udemy course about Huba Teams and Huba Checkout. So if you would like to follow me, you can check this QR code from the screen. So I would like to talk first about the AI in modern e-commerce in general, because as we can see, AI is, I think, redefining the customer interaction in the e-commerce area as well. So basically, what we can see, we are moving beyond the static catalogs and manual browsing into this AI dynamic assistant world, let's say. So we are enabling dynamic and intelligent and also personalized shopping experience, also in the Adobe Commerce in Magento area. And basically here, the AI is also used for example, for intelligent product discovery. And with this, we can help the customer to find the relevant items and products faster and also more intuitively. And here we are also integrating the semantic search and also the smart product recommendation in the e-commerce area. And here, with the usage of the AI, we can understand the customer intent better because we are not using just the keyword search. We are also using the semantic search. So later I would like to also talk about the semantic search in general. So I would like to give you a general overview about the semantic search and the benefit. And also we will also compare this with the actually keyword search. Because if we are using semantic search, we can also suggest products based on the customer behavior, context, and preferences. Because basically the AI, the vector database already know what the customer would like to buy. So we are not using just keyword search. And with this, basically, we can also use the data-driven personalizations. So we can add and provide better experience for the customer in real time. And with this, we have a big impact also on the customer journey on the front end, because we have personalized product recommendations and also AI-powered customer support, for example, AI assistant, and also the process is a little bit smoother and more intuitive and also customer-centric shopping experience, what we can provide with the usage of the semantic search and also the different LLM models. And why AI is needed in online store? Because I think nowadays lots of customers is just overwhelming with the different products, with the different product amount. So it's really difficult sometimes finding the right product quickly or get the correct information from the store. And here we can simply use AI for this, and we can assist the customer with the usage of the AI. And also at the same time, we are seeing customer expectation is basically rising because the customer would like to buy the product as fast as possible. So they need instant and accurate answers from the AI, in this case from the AI assistant. And also they need relevant and personalized suggestion or product recommendation. And also the shopping experience that feels as easy as speaking with the real store assistant. So basically the customer would like to talk with the shop like with the real store assistant. And I have the feeling with the actually chatbot integration on the different shop, the customer cannot achieve this basically because this is not really intuitive in this form. And we are improving this process. And how AI bridge this gap? Basically, we are simplifying the navigation across large catalogs or large information, for example, FAQ. So we are not just talking synchronizing the product data, we are also talking synchronizing different shop informations like FAQs or some another order history. So basically you can synchronize everything and use in this semantic search way. And with this, basically you can also create and makes product discovery faster and more intuitive, and also create smarter and more enjoyable and faster shopping experience for the customer. And how AI can enhance this product discovery. Basically, we can deliver personalized product recommendation and also understands natural language through semantic search and provide interactive guidance via conversational assistant. And also with this, we can automate customer support for faster and consistent responses. And we can also use visual recognition to classify, compare, or identify products, and also create richer and more efficient and engaging shopping environment. So basically, you can also talk with this AI assistant. So it's also not just working in the writing form. You can also talk with them, or basically you can also upload images. And based on this image information, the LLM or this shopping assistant can provide you better product. So basically, you can use this as you are using the ChatGPT nowadays, and this is integrated into your e-commerce shop, in this case, in your Adobe Commerce or Magento shop. Because if we are not using AI, I think we have lots of challenges in this e-commerce area because customers struggles to find the products unless they know the exact keywords. So it's sometimes really hard to find the correct product with the correct combination also. And the navigation becomes difficult in large or complex product catalogs, or if you have some really large shop information like FAQ, it's sometimes really hard to find the correct answer. So, and with this semantic search combined with the LLM can really help for the customer. And also we have, naturally, if we are integrating this into the shop, we have operational impact. So the support teams get overloaded with repetitive and low value questions. So basically customer lose engagement when they can't quickly access accurate and relevant information. And with the usage of this semantic search and LLM, we can also reduce here this impact. Because if we are not using AI, basically we are increasing the customer frustration and they cannot find the correct product or in general the correct information. And we are also talking higher bounce rates and basically miss the sales opportunities and miss the conversion rate. Because if the customer cannot find the correct product, they cannot check out, or they are just frustrated. And from my point of view, I had also lots of time really bad experience with AI chatbot or AI assistant, let's say, because I wanted to ask some important information, but they cannot really provide this information for me, and I was just really frustrated. And in the end of the day, I called the real people or the real assistant or the real assistant to get the correct information. But basically, if the LLM has already the information based on this semantic search or from the vector database, then they can already provide the correct information for the customer without contacting with the real customer care, for example. So, and here in general, we are seeing this shift in the commerce area. So we are moving from the passive product catalogs to intelligent and really interactive experiences if we are using this AI assistant. And also this traditional search, what we have already, or what we are also using in the Magento or Adobe Commerce, this traditional search bar and filters are no longer enough in this case, because if you don't know what you would like to buy correctly, or what you would if you don't know the correct keywords, basically, then sometimes it's really hard to find the correct product or the correct combination of the different products. So for example, if you need some tools, or if you're renovating your rooms or something, and if you would like to combine different tools with different products, from my point of view, it's also, I had many times that I wanted to make something for my room, renovate something, and I cannot find the correct product, the correct tools. And in the end, I went to the shop and asked the real assistant or the store, the customer care, because they combined every product, and I bought this. But with this AI assistant, basically you can make this already online, and or your basket can already prepared from the AI, and then you can just buy it and you have everything what you need. And also what I can see, we are talking about the changing the customer behavior, because customer would like to talk with this AI assistant like with the real customer care or with a real person. And in this case, AI can understand the intent and not just the keywords. And with this, AI can help customer navigate and find the right products or the right information effortlessly. And here, as I said on the previous slide, we are also talking about higher engagement through more natural and intuitive interactions, and also improved conversion rates driven by better guidance and relevance information. And from the technical aspect, what we are already implemented, the RAG model. So basically, what RAG brings to the e-commerce area, traditional AI models lack access to private store data, and this is the big problem if we are seeing this actually use the AI chatbot, that they don't have really access to the catalog data or some another data from the shop. But with this RAG model, we can synchronize the product information, or let's say product information, into the vector database. And based on this information, we can already prepare the response, what we are getting from the assistant. So the LLM and in general, the AI assistant already see your products, your stock status, and basically everything what you already synchronized. And with this, you can fill this gap and you can ground the answer in a real catalog information, or the customer can get the real information from the shop because you have also access to the stock status and everything. And then you can combine this information, and based on this LLM can also provide this on the natural human language, and then you have basically everything what the customer need. I would like to also talk how this RAG works. So we are basically speaking the retrieve and augment and generate steps. So we have these three steps. So in the retrieve step, basically we are pulling the relevant information and the data, for example, from product catalogs or FAQs or internal systems with this used vector database. And then in the argument step, in the second step, we are injecting this data into the model prompt. And after that, in the last step, we are generating and producing up-to-date response based on this real store content. So this could be also product data or every another data what we are already synchronized with the vector database. And here, if we are using this, we have lots of benefits also for the e-commerce area, that we can make sure that the product answers are factual and aligned with the current catalog data, for example, or some other data. And with this, we can also reduce the hallucination and the misinformation from the AI. And also we can enable precise and trustworthy customer interactions. And as I said, this can be not used just for the product or catalog information. With this, basically, we can introduce AI assistant. And with this AI assistant, we can also check, or the customer can also check the order status data or account information, or basically, we can also synchronize company resources like FAQs or policy documents. And then the customer can ask regarding the order in this AI chat assistant. And basically, everything is synchronized in the vector database for always current knowledge, and this is scalable to numerous workflows. So we can synchronize everything with the vector database. But yeah, here we should make this carefully because the sensitive information and so on, that this should be also checked, that customer data and so on. It's also sensitive information that this could be not really synchronized, or so this should be checked before we are using some kind of vector database. So here once again the summary about the RAG. So we are talking about these three steps and also summarized here in these slides. So once again, in this retrieve, we are basically fetching the most relevant information. So you can imagine in the first step, the customer typing something into this AI assistant, and then we are generating this query. And based on this query, we are getting the information from the knowledge source. So in this case, from the vector database on this semantic search way. And then if we are getting the relevant information in this step, then we are also using the same type LLMs, so different models. And with this, we can guarantee that we are using this human language. So in this large language model benefits, so we are generating really good answer for the customer, but also combined with the data from the vector database. And here, if you already trained also this LLM with your area, so let's say if we are talking about one customer person, let's say, for example, from the lamp shop, then you can already train this LLM. For example, you can imagine this is some kind of MD file that you can add every relevant information about your customer care person. And then this LLM can react as a real customer care, but also in the same time, they have access to your catalog information. In this case, they know everything about your catalog, about your lamps. And then with this, from the vector database and from the LLM, they can generate a response, and then they can provide to the customer. So it basically in the retrieve, they are fetching the information from the vector database, let's say product name, description, prices, or this could be some another information, let's say order history data and so on. And in this argument, we are adding this into the LLM prompt and then providing the context. And in the generate, basically LLM produce the final answer and in this natural language. And then we are creating this response and showing this to the customer on the front end. And yeah, I would like to also talk about the vector database because we are using this for storing in this case, we are storing the catalog product information. So basically, I'm using here the Pinecone vector database and I synchronized, for example, every simple data from the Magento Luma team, synchronized into the Pinecone. And as you can see here on the screenshot, basically simple data from Magento. And there is a product information added as this numerical embeddings. So as you can see here, we have by every product, we have this numerical embeddings. And basically, this is the embeddings form what we are using for semantic search. So every product has some kind of numbers. And based on these numbers, within this RAG model, we can provide the correct product to the customer. And because of that, the semantic understanding or the semantic search is so powerful because with this, we can recognize connection. For example, if you are talking about, for example, let's say I added here the example, trail running shoes. With this semantic search, LLM can already know this is something related to the outdoor footwear. But the same can be that if we are using this semantic search and if we are seeing here some information about, let's say, Android device, then LLM can already know it's something about with the mobile phone and it's something about with so it's not, let's say, iOS device, it's Android device. So the LLM can provide already better information because it's not based on the keyword, it's based on the semantic search. And with this, I can also provide the correct product or correct information. And with this, naturally, you have enabled the fast and accurate matching of customer queries to relevant products or relevant information and works even when customer use different wording or phrasing. So if the customer is searching for, let's say, outdoor footwear, based on this vector search or this vector semantic, LLM can already know this could be also some trail running shoes, but the name is totally different. So it's not based on the keywords, based on this semantic search. And basically, if you are synchronizing your product data, you can add here the semantic search form, but here this can be also added to the another attributes because basically here we are using this semantic search. You see here this number and we have here this metadata like product name, ID, description. And also here you have the information, let's say this product is yellow or blue and so on. So this can be also in the correct form, in this correct semantic word, and then you can provide better answer to the customer. And basically you can synchronize everything with the vector database. So we are talking about product names, description or FAQs on different formats because everything is added in this embedding form. So this is basically numbers, what is stored in the vector database. So we are also talking text, image, audio, video, and then we are transforming this into this embedding models basically. And then you have the vector data. So this is, for example, the product information, what I'm using. It's also stored in this numerical form. And then we are using here the semantic search. So once again, the similar concepts sit close together in vector space. So for example, smartphone can be also mobile phone and can be also Android device. But the name or the word is totally different. So, and here's the big benefit that we are not using here keyword search, we are using here semantic search, and the LLM can already add the relation between smartphone and Android device because it's based on this vector, in this numerical vector search. And why vector search is better? Because basically SQL and Elasticsearch really rely only or use only the exact keyword and matches. And the vector search retrieves results based on the semantic similarity. And this is ideal for the natural language queries where wording varies. For example, if you're combining this with the LLM. And for example, for this AI assistant, we are using Pinecone, but you can also check, there are also lots of services what we can use. For example, Chroma is also really good and lightweight, simple for this vector search or storing the information. But here I'm using Pinecone for my assistant. And as you saw in the previous slide, basically we are storing this embedding vector for the products, the original text like product description or product name, and the metadata, for example, product ID, categories, product color, and so on. And how this retrieval works, basically we are using query, and this is converting into an embedding, and the system find in the top k closest vector. So if I'm going back to the previous slide, you will see here in this number, in this score, at the beginning of each query or each synchronized product information. And then we are using basically this vector search is using basically the closest top key vector. And basically this top key vectors refers to the key most similar items in the vector database based on how close their embeddings are query embedding. So basically, this is the top k closest vectors, what you can also see in the Pinecone or every another vector database. And then with this, we are returning the most semantically relevant product information or every another information to the customer. And as I said, I combine the Magento simple data with Pinecone. So I'm using here Pinecone for storing the catalog data, and also combined this with the LLM, so with the OpenAI. And with this, from the Magento, we are providing this structured product and catalog data. And in the same time, we are storing this in the Pinecone in this embedding form. And also we are using OpenAI, because with this, you can generate natural and conversational response based on the retrieved data. And with this, basically, you can create really powerful AI assistant that delivers accurate results with natural language interactions. And you can use this for every cases. So we are not just talking about the catalog data. You can also synchronize basically everything with this vector search. I would like to show you this demo, what we already created on the Luma store. So I would like to switch quickly. So basically, this is the normal Luma theme with the installed sample data. And this is basically in the background one HTML component where we can define parameters. So basically, you can define here the text here, what you can see. And also, we have provided here this suggestion after the input field, because I wanted to use this or basically create this on the front end, like on the ChatGPT, because sometimes you see also on the basically you see also on the ChatGPT some suggestion what you can already provide to the input field. And so basically I can also show this to you, that first show me popular products, and basically this is also based on this structured semantic search. And if you are asking AI, then in the background basically we are fetching, or extension is already searching for the most relevant products from the vector database, so from the Pinecone. I also open this here. So this is already synchronized every information, and basically based on the already bought product or the history, they can already recognize which is the bestseller products in this case. And then you have the list here from the Magento, from the sample data. And as you can see here, and the first list is already provided from the LLM, from the OpenAI. So basically here we have this on this natural language, and then you have the product information already linked to the PDP. So you can also open here the product. And basically everything is generated with the JavaScript. So here you have a big benefit that this can be integrated on every shop system, basically, because you need just information from the vector database, and also from the same time, you should just configure the LLM model, what you would like to use. And also in the first time, you should also provide this trained information, let's say this MD file for the LLM. So for example, this is the expert from this Luma store. So they can already provide information. And for example, I added this information in the background that they should provide products if this product is already found in this vector search. And basically, my next plan would be that you can also combine this with the, let's say, if you would like to talk with this AI assistant, like you have also the possibility, if you're using ChatGPT, that you can also talk with them, and then your your wish basically will be also written in this form. So I can also, I hope that this will now work. Could you provide me t-shirt under $15 in color red? Sometimes it's not work because this should be checked. But basically you can also add different language code because I'm just using here the plain voice recognition, let's say. So, but basically you can also provide here that they can also understand another languages, let's say Hungarian language or German language and so on. But this is still in progress. So I just played with this a little bit. But also my next plan would be that I'm also implementing here image upload. So let's say you have a new flat or new room and you would like to buy lamps or furniture to this room. So basically you can upload here the image and LLM can also check this image. Like if you're also uploading image time to times into the ChatGPT and LLM can already read this or can read and recognize this image or this room. And based on this product information stored in this vector database, LLM can already provide, for example, lamps or furniture that they fit into your room. For example, if you would like to add in this color or in this size, so they can already combine everything. I would like also add here something that, for example, because basically, if you just typing, hey, I need some T-shirt under $15 in color red, so basically it's not really complicated prompt, let's say. But you can imagine that if you would like to, I had an example that, for example, I would like to renovate my room and I need some tools. But basically, I don't know which tools exactly I need, or so basically, if you are not expert in this area, so if we are not talking about t-shirts or clothes, so if you need really assistant, let's say, then you can also ask. And if you have already the product information and that data synchronized, then LLM can basically act as a real customer care or real assistant. And I think this is really powerful. But basically, I can also, I need black hoodies because I would like to go to the gym, for example. But this is also, let's say, some basic prompt, but you can also combine here. But yeah, as I said, it's just synchronized with the Luma simple data, so it's not really the big catalog, let's say. But as you can see, this is already working really good with the simple data where you have, let's say, this stupid information or data. But we would like to test this also in the praxis with a really big catalog or information stored in vector database. But as you can see here, this starting sentence, what LLM already provided, I think it's really good. So it's not really comparable with the actually AI chatbot, what we are seeing on different shops or on different. So we are not just talking about e-commerce. We are also talking about AI chatbot on different pages online. So I think this will be the next level of the AI chatbot, let's say. So I named this as an assistant because I think this is already reacting really good and the response is really good. But as I said, we would like to test this with the real data and real information, and then I think this will be really powerful, and also this will really help for the customer to get the correct product or the correct information from the shop. So thank you so much. It was my presentation, and if you have some questions or notes, then feel free to ask. Thank you so much.
The score in the vector database, it will be generated by each query, yeah? It will be regenerated.
Yeah.
Okay, like you will get the most.
This is this top key closest, yeah. But basically, you can synchronize also. We are talking. As you saw in the Pinecone, we have now this top closest score at the beginning of the synchronized product information. But you can also add here more semantic approach here. So you can also synchronize also the catalog information and also some product name and so on. Because if you are just adding this semantic search only on the highest level, let's say, then this could be that let's say you are searching for red T-shirt, but you have some other product, let's say black T-shirt, but in the description there is a red keyword, and this could be then the response is not really accurate because then you have the description in this red And then you should also add then the description, for example, on this semantic way. Let's say this should be also added in this embedding ways. Then AI can differ better on the between the red and black products, for example. But this, as I said, this is still in progress, and we would like to really test this with the real product data, where you have lots of products with different product attributes, different information, because then we can really challenge this AI assistant, and we can figure out what we should synchronize, or how we should add this embedding search or this vectors synchronization, basically. Yeah.
The interesting thing will be in a real world job. The interesting thing will be to get all the data, like live data, quantities or information that are like fractured over different systems, popular products or marketing analysis, and so I think that we can combine it into this rag or rags, I don't know, and provide all that information for the LLM to look into, because it's impressive, and but it's a more or less static example where the data does not change. So this will be very interesting how this can work out in
also other history, for example, what experience we can show documentations based on your all history, based on your analytics, what you did in the past.
Because basically you can synchronize everything, but if we are talking order history, we are also talking already a little bit sensitive information and customer information. I mean,
That's the question.
I'm not really into this topic regarding privacy policy and so on, but here we should make this really carefully.
Sorry, there maybe the question from Anton comes into play as well. He's asking if this is all based on third-party services and no own running models in the background that you're training. Things you just showed.
Basically, I'm created an extension for it, so it's running on the Magento base. And basically here I'm just synchronizing the product. And this has also the possibility to synchronize product, let's say in cron job. So they are synchronized every day in the evening, sent into the vector database and synchronized. And this is, let's say, the service for this extension. But I made this front-end part that you can also add this on the blank page, let's say, because it's not depending from the Magento, let's say. So, and I think this is really powerful, because then you should provide just this service in the background, and you can add this extension on or this, let's say, on this plugin on every shop system or every shops. So basically it's a Magento extension. I think this was the question.
I mean, I'm not quite sure. I think that maybe we discussed this beforehand. When it makes sense to use like AI service, like OpenAI, or when it makes more sense. I mean, we are actually sending sensitive data maybe to the AI. Most of them are hosted in the US, and that might be a problem at some point. So there's still the option, and we discussed it to actually capable machines in your hand. You can also host the LLM yourself, like train it with your data. And we also talked about that if you have the regs and you have the information, it doesn't make you a good sales agent, because you have to know your stuff. You have to know what you're actually selling, and you can train your LLM with some information about what is your product in general. It makes it even better. Naturally, you can use like Olama or something like that, and host it yourself with any model you like, any size you like.
And basically, if we are talking about training the LLM, we are not just talking about training your product or catalog information. You can also provide it to the LLM that about the style of the communication and basically everything. So we are not just talking, hey, if we are the customer asking about the lamp, then please check this and this one, because I'm also at this starting prompt in the background that please be careful with your response, and if you don't find a matching product, then please ask her again, and so on. And also the style of the communication should be friendly, and so you can basically, and also, for example, based on some statistic, you can add to the LLM that the the customer that is searching for the product, for example, between 20 and 15 years old or something, and then LLM can already switch this, let's say, this context, but and the style of the communication and everything. So yeah, it's really important that you are adding this, let's say, as you have already, for example, if you are using Cloud Code, you have this MD file, or if you are using different agent, then basically this is also information provided to your AI tools, and this is the same for the AI assistant in the background.
I think many quality related stuff is applying still in the same way, even if we are using LLM. So if you don't have good product data with structured information, that LLM can't fix that, right? And also the quality parameters we are currently applying to our advanced search engines, like which products are popular, which products are most often clicked and bought. If we apply this data to the rec or whatever database we are using to feed into the LLM, if we don't use those capabilities we learned in the past and apply to the new technology, the LLM still will return bad results and will give a bad experience. But if we combine all of that, I mean, the real benefit of the LLM is the natural language, and that it can act on behalf of natural language. This is something which is a real key benefit. Vector search, we already know for 5 or 10 years, and we can find products which are similar, like you mentioned, the Google Android and the smartphone or whatever term you're using. We are knowing these kind of technologies already for quite a while, but now we can act on that with natural language and not just of keyword search. So I think we should combine all our knowledge we already know about classic search and combine it now with the capabilities of natural understanding of the intent of a user. And that makes it very, very special.